The original Link's Awakening was released back in 1993 on the Game Boy. Then in 1998 we got Link's Awakening DX on the Game Boy Color. And now we have the Link's Awakening remake on the Nintendo Switch. To be honest, I haven't played a whole lot of Zelda in my day. I've played some Wind Waker HD and Breath of the Wild, both which I enjoyed, but I only played them for a couple hours each. I'm happy to say the Link's Awakening remake is the first Zelda game I've ever completed. I know, it's crazy, it's been long overdue. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I played it, I finished it, and today I'm sharing my honest thoughts. Let's do this. The story is simple but sweet. The basic premise is Link goes from battling a storm on the sea to waking up on this mysterious island. In order to leave this island, he must wake up the Windfish by finding and playing 8 instruments. The plot was alright, like I said, it's simple, but it's surprisingly memorable. What surprised me more was the amount of heart the characters have. Marin was my favorite. Most characters only appear briefly, but even in a short time, some made an impression, like this ghost. There are 2 difficulties to choose from. I chose normal for my first run, and when I revisit the game, I'll take on the hero difficulty. My playthrough took me about 15 hours to finish. That was with me trying to figure out everything on my own. If you know where everything is, if you know how to get through all of the puzzles, your run will be much quicker. There are also some collectible seashells, and if I wanted to go around getting all of those, I would have a couple more hours ahead of me. When you start playing, you start with just a shield and gain more items and abilities as you progress through the game. The core gameplay can be broken up into 3 categories: the combat, exploration, and puzzles. The combat is simple, 1 button to attack, 1 button to block. As you gain more items, you'll have more ways to attack enemies. Some enemies you can attack head on, others require different approaches. Even though it's simple, I never found the combat boring. The boss battles are fun too, and for the most part are very easy. There is an entire island to explore, and it's pretty big. You don't have access to the entire island right away, you get more access as you get more items. Eventually there's even a little fast travel system, which is nice. When it comes to exploring, you're going to want to check every inch of this island, talk to every person. For example, there might be a staircase hidden within some grass, and if you don't cut down that grass, if you don't find that staircase, you're not going to progress through the story. There are a ton of puzzles in Link's Awakening. I find the puzzles more memorable and enjoyable than the basic combat. The game heartily throws the player a bone when it comes to figuring out what you have to do and how you have to do it. Sure, there's an owl who shows up every once in a while and will give you some direction, like, yo Link, head to the desert, but people, listen to me. For a newcomer, getting to a new place like that desert for the first time is never as easy as, okay, I'll go to the desert. No, you better do some stretching because you have a lot of hoops to jump through. I was lost many times, had no idea what I had to do or how I was supposed to do it. Scattered around the island, there are these telephone huts in which a guy calls you and gives you tips over the phone, but in my experience, these tips aren't all that useful. I learned pretty quickly that this is a game that leaves almost all of the problem solving up to the player. Maybe it's because of the cute presentation, but I was surprised by the level of challenge. This isn't another Yoshi's Crafted World. I went through a ton of trial and error in this game. I would say 90% of the puzzles led to a satisfying aha moment. For example, very early on, I'm talking within the first half an hour, I was having trouble getting by this annoying raccoon. The area I could search was very limited, but I was still having too much trouble. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is way too early to be stuck, Dream. Come on, think. I didn't have any item to lift the heavy boulders yet, but I eventually realized I could push these lighter boulders. That's something the game never told me I could do. I just thought, I wonder if I can push this, and aha. Now, getting rid of that annoying raccoon wasn't as easy as pushing 1 boulder. There were more steps to solving that puzzle, but when I finally figured it all out, I was satisfied. Look, my point is, while playing Link's Awakening, you'll have many moments just like this one. Moments where, through experimentation, you find the solution. You're often told the rules of what you can't do, but what you can do, well, that's up to you to find out, and I think that best describes what most of my experience was like. My favorite part of the gameplay are the main dungeons. There are 8, 1 for each instrument. In these dungeons, you go from one room to the next, solving puzzles and slaying enemies in the hopes of finding keys and items that will allow you to move on in the dungeon. These dungeons are so much fun. Some of them really threw me for a loop. I want to say the late game ones took me about an hour to complete. I would get stuck, revisit rooms multiple times, keep checking the map, and keep asking myself, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Then that aha moment would hit, and it would be the most satisfying feeling I got while playing Link's Awakening. The level of challenge in the dungeon's puzzles range, but I found them always fair and always a good time. A new feature is the Dungeon Maker, in which you can make dungeons. The pieces you can use in your blueprint are rooms you've already played through in the game's main dungeons. Because these are all rooms I've already seen, it lost a lot of flair for me pretty quickly. Really, it's not so much that you're making dungeons, but instead rearranging them, which is disappointing. Part of the incentive is to create dungeons you can share with your friends, but your friends can only play them if they're on your system. There's no online functionality. In order to get your dungeon from your Switch to your friend's Switch is using an amiibo. Certain amiibos also add new rooms, which is kind of lame because if you don't have the amiibos, you're missing out. I would have liked all that content to be in the game. Lastly, there's a little crane minigame in town in which you'll feel cheated a bunch of times because of the physics, but it didn't get me angry. I thought it was fun. I'm a fan of the art style, the character, enemy, and environment designs. It's all cute and charming, the game looks great. Okay, it's time for my biggest complaint. Let's talk performance. The good news is I didn't experience any bugs, but the frame rate is poor. I'm sure you've noticed it throughout this video, right? It drops regularly, and I gotta say, Nintendo, because I know you're watching, I'm disappointed in you. I hope you fix it soon with a patch. Overall, the frame rate wasn't horrendous to the point I didn't want to play the game. I just think we deserve better. Even if I haven't played much Zelda in my day, I've listened to much of the music, and once again, the music here is fantastic. I hear it and I want to smile. It's time to end this. After finishing Link's Awakening, I felt satisfied. I really liked the characters, the island, the dungeons, the music, and the small-scale, charming adventure the game took me on. Not a fan of the performance, and the Dungeon Maker is lackluster. Although I would wait for his sale, I did very much enjoy my time with Link's Awakening and am happy I finally completed a Zelda game. I feel like it's going to be a memorable one for me. And of course, the people who have that nostalgia of the original game are going to get much more out of this. But if you're a newcomer like myself, you can still have a great time. Again, it's a game I recommend. I would just wait for a price drop, let them fix those frame rate issues. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Now it's time to share yours. If you have played The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, fire away. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.